We have a twin birthday! I love making cushions with shapes because you can make almost anything you can imagine. I loved making the shell cushions, and I think for a birthday celebration, I think it's nice to have the initials of the girl's name. So I need an M and an I. So for that, first I'm going to trace the letters. You need to make chunky letters, and this depends on how big you want the cushions. So I think 30 centimeters wide is going to be too big, because then it'll be like 40 tall, so it's a bit balanced. So I'm going to leave it at 25 and then 10 wide. I'm going to start tracing the measurements I think look nice, and then the thing is the depth of the cushion. I'm going to leave it, I think 10 will be too much because it'll be too square, so I'm going to leave it 7 centimeters deep. And then I'm doubting if I should make little bits to mark the corners really nicely, or if I could make like a whole band to wrap around the two letters I need to make the 3D cushion. So I think if it's only a band, it will be like too much of a blob. It'll be like a rounded cushion, and I want it to have the corners nicely marked. So I'm going to be making pieces. It's going to be a work of cutting today. I'm sure it'll be much more long to cut than to sew it. So these are my letters. This could be for myself, and I think they're going to look good. One thing, if you want to make sure they are symmetrical, is to fold them so you cut at the same time. Even if you get rid of a few millimeters, it doesn't really matter. They are not huge, they are just small. They are not, I mean, it's not small, but I didn't want them massive either. So the thing is that now I have to cut my fabric twice for each letter, and then all the pieces to make the 3D effect. So it's going to be lots of little squares and rectangles to make the 3D shape, except for this inner bit that I'm going to be tracing in a long strip of material, because I'm not sure about all these little corners. I want them to be nice and neat and marked, but I think this is going to be too much work. And the same for the M. For the M, I'm going to be doing the same for this under bit. Just because of that, it's a bit more difficult, I guess, to do the M in there, so I'll be doing that. And to trace it, I didn't have much problem. I just trace it marking the center bit, so I could then go down 5 centimeters to make this big. So now let's cut the fabric. with an amount of little rectangles to sew now. So I'm going to follow an order. This is however you can manage more or less. So for example, because this bit is a longer strip, I'm going to start by sewing these 3 top and bottom, and then sew it to the front and back of the letter, so then I can do this. It shouldn't be that hard, and then the same with the M. I'm really struggling to show you how to sew the corners and how to sew everything, because all you can see it's loads of seams and loads of pieces of fabric with no shape at all. So when you have the third corner to sew to make the 3D effect, for example, I have this panel, I have this seam, and I want to have to sew another one here. So what I'm going to do is just pull the fabric, I come here sewing, and then I leave my needle in, I pull the top bit and I go down, always trying to keep on the bottom the one that is the most straight and maneuver the one on top. It's easier that way. The letters are sewn, and I need now, I have a little bit of extra fabric because when I did the M, all this panel was a whole thing, so I left it longer because I just in case. So now I'm going to cut the excess, leaving a bit for seam allowance when I sew it by hand, because this is a bit that's going to remain open to pull it right size out and to start filling it with some cushion filler. this kind of jobs is love and patience, because it's always the same. It's very it's not boring to sew, but I mean, it's not different steps you have to make like when you sew a garment. It's just the same step once and again. You have to cut loads of little pieces and then sew lots of little pieces. And like with that cushion, it took me longer to fill it in than to put it together, but you think of the result and you sew happily that way. And one thing, I'm going to be closing this seam by hand with my polyester thread I've been using. I don't know if I said that already or not. And what I'm going to do is this sort of ladder stitch, in which I'm going to go in one way, then cross to the other side and come down the same side as well. So then when I cross, I start to make this little ladder, and when I pull, it should be invisible. Let's see, because I'm not the best one at sewing by hand. So these are the letters. I think they look quite cute. How funny. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, any tips you have. I think they would have been nice as well with binding on top to mark the letter, to make the shape really clear, but I thought of that after I had sewn them, so I wasn't going to unsew them. So let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content, because I upload twice a week, and that way you don't miss anything. Is this getting all already? And what else? I leave you a link here to other cushions I've made. The shell cushions I made not long ago, a gamer cushion to keep your hands nice and warm while you play, cushion for the iPad, a mattress sort of cushion for a little nap for the small one in your house, and what else? Lots of cushions. So stick here for a while and have a look. I'll see you around. Bye.